I arrived in Willow's Edge just after sundown. The highway had been long and empty, cornfields stretching into dusk on either side. Only one sign for miles: Shadowlight Inn. The inn sat at the crest of a hill, painted white once, now peeling gray. Windows dark, curtains drawn. A single porch light flickered weakly, casting long shadows over the gravel driveway. My car's engine had sputtered before I made it here. No gas stations for 10 miles. My phone had no signal. I was hoping the inn would have a room, maybe help. I pulled under the porch. The door was heavy and wooden, the kind that groans when you push it open. No welcome mat. Just a hallway, dim lamps, and a smell of damp wood. A bell jingled somewhere. I called out. No answer. Footsteps echoed, though. Mine. My shoes scuffed over rug that felt threadbare underfoot. At the desk sat an elderly woman, hair gray, skin pale. She looked up slowly, knuckles white around a key. "Good evening," I said. My voice sounded loud, too loud. She didn't smile. "Do you have a reservation?" "No, I was hoping you do." The woman's eyes were sharp. "I only have one room left." "Name?" she asked. I gave it. "Room 13, she said, her voice soft and hollow. She handed me a key on a rusted ring. The tag had 13 stamped. The carpet in the hallway to room 13 had dark stains, damp in places. The air smelled old. Mildew, wood rot, something faintly metallic. The door creaked open. Inside, the room felt empty, yet crowded. The ceiling fan hung still. Bedspread thin, pillows sunken. A cracked mirror over the dresser. I dropped my bag. The mirror caught the porch light behind me. I squinted. I thought I saw someone standing just behind, reflected. A blur. I turned. No one. The mirror was cracked now. One long fracture from top to bottom. I didn't walk in with it cracked. I tried the window. It opened, but the screen was torn. Outside, I saw corn stalks whispering in the breeze. The sky heavy with clouds, moon obscured. I sat down on the bed. The bed creaked under me. There was a Bible on the nightstand. Old, bound in leather, pages yellowed. I flipped it open. Inside, names and dates. Many names. Some scratched out. Some crossed out. The most recent date was earlier that day. I closed it quickly, heart pounding. Outside, the hallway light flickered. Footsteps, soft at first, then louder. Walking toward room 13, I froze. The doorknob rattled. "Who's there?" My voice shook. No answer, just silence. The door creaked open a crack. Dark beyond. I grabbed the lamp, pulled the door shut, locked it. My breathing in the room sounded loud, harsh. I sat down on the edge of the bed, lamp in hand, trying to steady myself. That night, I couldn't sleep. Shadows moved on the walls. Sounds drifted in my ears. A distant crying, whispering. Names. I told myself to leave in the morning. No way I would stay. But then I heard it. A whisper. Soft, just beneath hearing. Your name. Someone saying, Michael. I froze. Because that's my name. I woke up to the sound of dripping water. The room was dark, the kind of darkness that feels solid, like it's sitting on your chest. I blinked a few times before I realized the lamp I'd left on had gone out. The dripping came from the bathroom. Slow, steady. Drip. Pause. Drip. I pushed myself off the bed, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet. The air felt colder now, heavy with damp. When I opened the bathroom door, the faucet was dry. The sink empty. No sound at all. Then, behind me, a creak. The door moved, just a little, enough to let the hallway light spill across the floor. I stepped back slowly. My hand found the doorknob, and I pushed it open. The hallway stretched ahead, long and empty. The old wallpaper peeled at the corners, the air thick with dust. But it wasn't empty. At the far end, someone was standing. A man. He was tall, shoulders squared, wearing an old-fashioned suit, like something out of the 1940s. His head tilted slightly, like he was studying me. "Sir?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. No answer. I took one step forward. He took one step back. Then he was gone. Not walked away. Not turned a corner. Just gone. The light flickered once, and I was staring at an empty hallway. I went back into my room, slammed the door shut, locked it again. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. This place wasn't right. I checked my phone. Still no service. Time, 3:07 a.m. I sat on the bed, staring at the door, waiting for morning. But morning didn't come. The light outside never changed. The world beyond the torn curtain stayed the same washed-out gray. I thought maybe I'd just try to leave anyway. I threw my bag over my shoulder and opened the door. The hallway was different. It didn't go straight anymore. It bent to the left, then the right, stretching far beyond what should have been possible inside a small inn. I took a few cautious steps forward. My shoes sank into the old carpet. It felt spongy, like something wet underneath. As I walked, I passed doors I hadn't seen before. Room 14, room 15, room 16. The inn only had 13 rooms. Then I heard it. Footsteps, slow, careful, behind me. I turned. Nothing. I took another step. The footsteps followed. I started walking faster. So did they. I broke into a run. My breath came sharp, fast, echoing off the walls. When I looked back, I saw shadows moving in the flickering light. Not one, not two. Many. Shapes that crawled along the walls like oil. I turned a corner and slammed into something solid, a door. I grabbed the handle and pushed it open, stumbling into another hallway. Number. Not another hallway. It was the same hallway. I could see room 13 again down the far end, my door still cracked open. It was looping. I was trapped. Then faintly I heard voices. Not whispers. This time it was laughter. Children's laughter. High-pitched, joyful, but wrong. It came from the end of the hall, where the wallpaper was torn and curling away from the wood. "Hello?" I called out. "Is someone there?" The laughter stopped, and something answered. A soft, rasping voice. "You checked in." The air went cold enough that I could see my breath. I stumbled backward, my hand brushing against the wall, and it moved. The wallpaper pulsed under my fingers, like something was breathing behind it. Then, a whisper. Right by my ear. "Now you can't leave." I spun around. No one. The hallway light flickered and went out completely. I stood in pitch black. Something touched my shoulder. I ran, blindly, heart pounding. The hallway seemed endless, twisting, folding into itself. I could hear footsteps all around me, closing in from every direction. Then I saw light, a faint glow under one of the doors. I grabbed the knob and pushed. The door swung open, and I stumbled into what looked like the lobby. The old woman was there behind the desk again. She looked exactly the same, hands folded, head bowed slightly. But when she looked up, her eyes were completely white. "You shouldn't walk the halls at night," she said softly. "That's when they remember." "Remember what?" I asked, gasping. Her lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "The guests who never left." I backed away, shaking. "I'm leaving. Right now." "You can try," she said, tilting her head. "But every door leads back here." I turned toward the front door. My hand grabbed the knob, twisted, yanked. The door opened. Outside, the cornfields were gone. In their place was darkness. Endless, empty darkness. And in that darkness, hundreds of faces. Pale, hollow-eyed. Watching me, whispering. The same word, over and over. "Stay." I slammed the door shut, locking it fast behind me. The whispers faded instantly, but the silence that replaced them was worse. I pressed my back against the wall, trying to steady my breath. My chest rose and fell too fast. My fingers trembled. This wasn't a dream. The cold was too real. The fear sat too deep. The old woman at the desk was gone now. The lobby empty. The air thick and heavy. The lantern behind the counter flickered faintly. I grabbed it, desperate for light, for something real to hold. The flame barely caught, but it was enough to see the staircase that wound upward behind the desk. I hadn't noticed it before. Each step looked warped. The carpet faded to gray. I didn't want to go up there, but the doors downstairs had stopped leading anywhere but back to that darkness, so I climbed. The higher I went, the colder it got. My breath hung in the air. The silence pressed in. Halfway up, I heard a sound. A door creaking open. I froze. It came from the landing above me. Slowly, I reached the top step. The hallway stretched out, longer than it should have been. The walls were lined with more doors, unmarked, unevenly spaced, as if someone had built them without a plan. At the far end, one door was open just a crack. Light spilled through it, a faint golden glow. I should have turned around, but I walked toward it instead. Each step made the floor groan. As I got closer, I saw that the light wasn't electric. It was candlelight. The room inside looked strange. The wallpaper was cleaner here. The furniture polished, new. It was like stepping back in time. And sitting at the center of it all, at a small round table, was a man. The same man I'd seen in the hallway the night before. The old-fashioned suit, the sharp eyes. He looked up at me slowly. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. His voice was calm, too calm. "I just want to leave," I said. I didn't mean to. You checked in. He said it like it was a confession. I didn't know. You never do, he interrupted. They never do. He stood, the chair scraping against the floor. He was taller than I expected. His shadow stretched long across the room, too long for the light that cast it. Room 13 was yours, he said. Now it's part of you. I don't understand. He stepped closer. The air grew colder with every inch he moved. The inn remembers. Every name, every breath, every mistake. Behind him, the walls began to shift. The wallpaper rippled like fabric caught in wind. Faces pressed out from underneath. Pale, silent, mouths open in screams I couldn't hear. I stumbled back. The man smiled, a slow, knowing smile. You shouldn't have touched the book. What book? The Bible, he said. It's not scripture anymore. It's a ledger. My chest tightened. The names, the dates, the one from that very day. You mean, it writes itself, he said softly. Every time someone new arrives. I backed away, shaking my head. No, I'm not staying here. He tilted his head. You already are. The candlelight flickered. Then it went out. For a few seconds, everything was silent. Then came the sound. Scratching. From the walls, the ceiling, the floor. Hands clawing at the wood, trying to get in, or maybe trying to get out. I ran for the door, but the knob burned my hand when I touched it. The metal hissed, searing my skin. I yanked it open anyway. The hallway beyond was gone. In its place was another room, a copy of the same one I was just in. The same table, the same candle, the same man sitting there, looking up slowly as if nothing had happened. You shouldn't keep leaving, he said. I just came from here. He smiled again. No, you came through. The candle flame rose suddenly, bright and violent. The room blurred, and for a moment I saw flashes, people sitting in that same chair, one after another, their faces twisting in fear, melting into shadow. Then the light snapped back. The man was gone. The room was empty, but on the table sat the Bible. Its cover black now, the pages darker than ink. I opened it. There was only one name written, mine, and next to it, a date. Tomorrow's. The room went cold. I felt it even before I heard the whisper. Checkout is permanent. I dropped the book and ran. The door flew open this time, and I stumbled into another hallway. But it wasn't the second floor anymore. I was standing in the lobby again. Only now everything was wrong. The walls were rotting. The desk was covered in mold. The chandelier hung by a single chain. The air smelled like decay. Behind the counter, the old woman stood again. But she wasn't breathing. Her eyes were open, clouded. Her mouth twisted into a silent scream. The lamp flickered once, twice, then went out. And in the dark, a dozen voices whispered in unison, soft, close, and horribly familiar. They all had my voice. The whispers didn't stop. They followed me. No matter where I turned, my own voice echoed back, warped, stretched, like something trying to crawl out of me. I stumbled across the lobby, clutching the lantern. Its weak light trembled against the walls, showing flashes of old portraits, each one burned or torn. I saw faces, guests from long ago, some smiling, some blank, some looking right at me. Their eyes followed as I moved. I reached the front doors, tried pulling them open, but the handles wouldn't move. They felt like part of the wall now. Panic rose in my chest. I pounded on the wood. "Help!" Someone. No answer. Only a faint, low creaking sound from below the floorboards. I stopped, listened. The creak turned into a shuffle, then scratching, then knocking. Slow, measured, from underneath my feet. Is someone down there? No reply. But the knocking continued. 3 taps, a pause, then 2. Over and over again, like a pattern, like a code. I crouched down, pressing my ear to the dusty boards. The cold seeped through my skin. Then I heard it. A voice. Soft male. Close. "Don't stay above," it whispered. "They walk there now." I jerked back, my breath catching in my throat. "Who's there?" But the floor went silent. Then the boards shifted. One of them moved, by itself. A crack split open, wide enough to see something below. Darkness, dirt, and a staircase leading down. I hesitated. Every instinct told me not to go, but the silence upstairs pressed heavy around me. So I grabbed the lantern and I went down. The air grew thick, damp, colder than before. My footsteps echoed in the tight space. The walls were lined with old bricks, glistening wet. The stairs ended at a door, a rusted metal one, chained shut. The chain looked fragile. I yanked it once, twice, and it snapped. The door creaked open slowly. The room beyond was vast, far bigger than the inn should have allowed. It stretched out in all directions, filled with rows of broken furniture, suitcases, and beds. Each bed had a shape lying beneath the sheets. My lantern flickered. I took a step closer. The nearest bed was covered in thick dust, like it hadn't been touched in decades. But the outline beneath the sheet, it looked human. I reached out, hand shaking, and pulled the fabric back. There was no body, just a shadow, flat against the mattress, like someone had been burned into the air itself. I stepped back, heart pounding. Every bed was the same, a shadow lying perfectly still. Then, from the far side of the room, one of them moved. The sheet rose, slowly, as if something beneath it was breathing. I froze, unable to scream. The lantern flickered wildly, casting the room in bursts of orange and black. Then came a sound, a faint hum, deep and droning. The walls began to shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. I turned and ran, but the ground beneath me shifted, soft, pulsing, almost alive. The lantern went out. For a moment, I was blind. Then I saw them. Dozens of faint shapes, standing just beyond the edge of my vision. Human-sized, but wrong. Their limbs too long, their faces featureless. They moved in jerks, like marionettes without strings. A whisper spread through the room. Not words, but breath. cold and constant. Then one of them stepped into the light. It was wearing my face, its eyes hollow, mouth twisted into something between a grin and a scream. I stumbled back, tripping over debris. My own voice came from its mouth, whispering words I couldn't understand. "Why are you doing this?" I shouted. It tilted its head. "You came for shelter. You stay for memory." The others began to move closer. Their shadows stretched across the floor, merging together. The walls bent inward, the ceiling cracked, and beneath it all, a low, rhythmic thump began, like a heartbeat. The inn was breathing. I ran toward the stairs, but the steps were gone. Only a smooth wall remained where they should have been. Trapped. The shadows surrounded me. They circled slowly, whispering louder now, dozens of versions of my own voice. I pressed my hands over my ears, shaking. "Stop! Stop it!" And then, everything stopped. Silence. A figure stepped out from the dark. The man from room 13. His eyes glowed faintly, like embers. "I told you," he said softly. "The inn remembers." "I didn't do anything!" I screamed. "You checked in." The ground split open beneath me. A cold wind rose, dragging dust and whispers up into a storm. And then I fell, down through blackness that felt endless. The whispers followed me, thousands of voices overlapping, repeating the same words again and again. Room 13. Room 13. Room 13. When I landed, it wasn't on stone or dirt. It was on a floor. Wooden. Familiar. I looked up and found myself back in my room. The Bible was on the nightstand. The clock read 3:13 a.m. Everything was quiet. For a second, I almost believed I'd dreamed it. Then I noticed the door. Someone had carved words into the wood, shallow and jagged. "Don't leave. They're above now." And from the ceiling, faintly, came the sound of footsteps. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The footsteps above never stopped. Slow, careful, pacing back and forth across the ceiling, just over my bed. Every creak made my heart jump. At some point, I whispered to myself, "It's not real. It's just old wood. Just an old building settling." But the moment I said it, the footsteps stopped. And a voice, soft and close, whispered back, "Then why are we still here?" I froze. My breath caught. The voice was mine. I grabbed the lantern, flicked it on, and swung it toward the ceiling. Nothing. Only silence again. The Bible sat on the nightstand, closed now. I didn't remember touching it, but something was different about it. It looked older, as if it had been sitting there for years. I reached for it, but my hand stopped halfway, because the cover had changed again. It no longer said Holy Bible. Now it said Guest Book. I opened it. Page after page of names, dates, rooms. Some I recognized. The missing travelers from the news. People whose photos I'd seen online. And then, near the bottom, mine. Written neatly, and beneath it, a new name being carved into the paper. Letter by letter. Slowly. The pen moved on its own, scraping against the page. Eleanor Ward, room 7. That was the woman at the front desk. But her name was being written, today's date. I looked up. The door creaked open. She stood there, pale and trembling, just as before. But her face wasn't the same. Her eyes were wide, empty. Her mouth moved, but the sound that came out wasn't a voice. It was static. The kind of sound you hear when an old radio can't find a signal. Her hand lifted, pointing toward the hallway. "Check out time," she rasped. My body moved before my brain did. I ran. The hallway lights flickered as I passed, some buzzing, others exploding in bursts of glass and sparks. The walls twisted. The wallpaper peeled itself back. Behind it, wood splintered and black shapes pressed through, their hands reaching, grasping. I sprinted toward the staircase, but the steps looked wrong, uneven, almost alive. Still, I climbed. Each step felt like sinking into something soft, like wet sand. Halfway up, I looked back. The lobby below was gone. In its place, a dark pit stretching endlessly downward, and from it rose hundreds of faint, glowing faces, drifting upward like smoke. I screamed and ran faster. At the top, the hallway split in two, left and right. I didn't think. I turned right and ran until I hit a door. Room 13. I stopped. The number wasn't metal anymore. It was carved into the wood. Deep, jagged, bleeding dark resin that dripped like ink. I heard the voices again. "Check out," they whispered. "Check out. Check out." I didn't know what they meant anymore. Leave? Die? Stay? I grabbed the knob and twisted. The door swung open. Inside, the room looked normal. Too normal. The bed was made. The lamp glowed warm. The air smelled faintly of cedar and dust. I stepped inside cautiously. On the table sat a new ledger, open, blank, and beside it, a key. The tag read, Room 6. My stomach dropped. That was the room from the other story. The one that didn't exist. The one guests whispered about in forums and reviews. The one that supposedly vanished. I picked up the key. The metal was ice cold. The air shifted. The light dimmed, flickered, then steadied. And there, in the reflection of the window, I saw him. The man from before, standing right behind me. "You made it further than most," he said quietly. "Why are you doing this to me?" He looked past me, toward the ledger. "Do you think this place feeds on fear?" He smiled. "Fear is just the doorway. Memory is the meal." "What do you mean?" He stepped closer. The air froze. His reflection in the window moved, even though he didn't. Every person who checks in brings their story, their pain, their guilt, their secrets. The inn keeps them, collects them. That's how it stays alive. He touched the ledger gently. Words appeared on the page in glowing ink, short fragments, disjointed sentences. I leaned closer. They were mine. My thoughts, my memories, things I hadn't said out loud in years. He whispered, "Now you understand. To leave, you have to give it something it can keep." What? What do I give? He smiled faintly. Your story. He pressed the pen into my hand. I wanted to throw it away, but my fingers wouldn't obey. The paper in front of me waited, empty, expectant. I started to write, not because I wanted to, but because the inn wanted it. The words poured out, line after line. The truth, the things I'd run from, the things I never said. When I looked up, the man was gone. The candlelight dimmed. The ledger snapped shut on its own. The air went still. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then, from the doorway, came a soft knock. 3 taps, a pause, 2 more. The same pattern I'd heard beneath the floor. I opened the door slowly. No one was there, only a single brass key hanging from the knob. The tag read, Room 6. I stepped into the hallway. Every door was open now, every room empty, except at the far end. Room 6. Its door stood ajar. A faint light flickered from inside. I walked toward it, heart pounding. When I pushed the door open, I froze. The room was a perfect mirror of mine. Same bed, same furniture, same Bible on the nightstand. But someone was sitting on the edge of the bed. It was me. Same face, same clothes. He looked up slowly and smiled. You made it, he said. I shook my head. No, this isn't real. He stood. It's real enough. You wrote your story. Now the inn will keep it. And you'll stay. I backed away, but the door slammed shut behind me. The lantern flickered, then went dark. For a moment, there was only silence. Then my voice, the one sitting across from me, whispered softly in the dark. Welcome to the Shadowlight Inn.